The first question we're tackling today is, how should I structure my chapter 3 in a mixed method study? Matthew, what can you tell us about structuring a mixed method study with qualitative and quantitative aspects as well?
Yeah, thanks, David. This is a great place for us to start our conversation here today because it allows me to say something that I say every time we do one of these, and I'll probably say several times today, which is always go back to your dissertation handbook when you have this kind of question to start. Because every university has a little bit of nuance in how they like those chapters to be pulled together. So, what I'm going to give you now is some general advice about kind of what to do if there isn't good detail in your dissertation handbook, but know that your dissertation handbook is your guiding document. That's what you should always default to for questions about formatting and structure. Now, if your dissertation handbook is quiet on this topic, what are we going to do? In a mixed method study, we're going to follow the same general structure for a chapter 3 that we would follow for quantitative or qualitative. So we're going to start with just sort of an introduction to the chapter. We're going to describe our research design. So you'll have a research design heading. Here you're going to say, this is a mixed method study. And here's part A and here's part B. And you're going to describe those. You're going to describe your population, sampling, all your participants. And if those are different between your quantitative and your qualitative elements, you're going to differentiate that using subheadings within that population and sample heading. You're going to talk about your data collection processes and instruments. So again, that becomes your level 1 heading or level 2 heading, depending on how you're structured. And then you have those subheadings underneath for my quantitative and my qualitative portion. Same thing for your analysis, your reliability and validity, all of those established sections in a chapter 3. You're still going to have them in the same order you would normally see them. We have a great template for that. By the way, if you're not really sure what that order should be, you can access our template. But then you're just going to bifurcate within the sections. This is my quantitative, this is my qualitative part. And usually we do write the quantitative part first, then the qualitative part when we're presenting that mixed method. So we start with the numbers and then we move to the words.
Just following on from that, what would you say are the key mistakes people do make when doing a mixed method study and structuring their chapter? What are some of the common issues that you see students and clients present with?
I would say one of the biggest challenges I see in a mixed method study is population and sample, because generally you have two different populations. So if you're doing quantitative, you might have data from 500 people, let's say employees in a hospital, but you're not going to interview 500 people. You're going to interview maybe the nursing managers only, and that might be 10 people. That's two separate populations. And so you have to make sure that that is very clear to the reader, that you have two separate populations that you're working with. The other thing I would say is I have a lot of clients who tend to write a lot about the part that they like the best. So we're all a little more quantitative, a little more qualitative. Most of the research I've published has been mixed methods, but I'm more of a qualitative guy. Really, that's what I really enjoy digging into more. So it's easy for us to spend more time in that qualitative discussion because that's what we like, but you've got to give equal airtime to that quantitative part if you're doing mixed methods. So making sure that you're treating both equally and you're not showing favoritism toward one part of your methodology, I think that's important balance.
I think the only thing that I would add there is one big methodological issue that I see when I'm working with clients is specifically not justifying sufficiently. And that's justifying based on the literature, but also justifying based on your research design, your research questions. So structurally, we always end up putting the content first and then we justify. So for every decision that you make sure there's a sentence to 3 sentences up to a paragraph. If it's a big decision point that you clearly indicate why you've made the choice you have. And even then, if you've got space and word count to play with, you can also do a little bit of engagement with what are alternative options you could have done and why those aren't relevant. But again, that's if you've got word count to spare.